Hi, how are you? This is Maris Maria Grossman, and this is the Mindfully Integrative Show. And today we have an awesome mindful chat with Teddy Woolsey. He is a fitness instructor, but really he's an expert in his fitness world. He's built an app called Rebuild. I mean, he's done a whirlwind of things, and he sees clients virtually all over. I think all over the world. I'm not sure, but he can tell you more about it and how he's making impact in health in a different way and having a different perspective on what you feel and what you're doing. So thanks so much for being on the show, Teddy.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as I always kind of start out, what is a little fun fact that people may not know about you?
I'm going to hit you with a really weird one. I don't think I've ever heard anybody else say this one, but probably the first 18 years of my life, I grew up with my parents, and we didn't have a shower in our house. We only had bathtubs.
Oh, okay. Oh, so no, it's like those just the do you have like one of those sprayers or no?
Nope, nope. Everybody
Okay.
thinks that. I'm telling you, it was the weirdest thing. So I go to my friend's house, and that was the only time, like vacations,
Yeah.
hotels. Yeah, but it was literally like old school. Think bathtubs like back in the day. Me and my sister always talk about how weird that was, like when we look back on it. But yeah, I thought I would just shock you and your audience with that one because that's a very
Yeah.
bizarre fun
Did you
fact.
learn a new way of like, did you do absolutely? Because now I'd like, I joke about it, but I talk to people about doing Epsom salt baths or, bath bombs in their shower. Did you guys do a lot of soaking? I don't know.
My mom got into that, and she would, that was like her nightly routine and all that stuff she said. But like honestly, it was just our way of like of our showering. And a weird story kind of tied to that is back in high school, me and my friends used to paint ourselves blue for our school mascot colors for basketball games and so on and so forth. And they
Yeah.
would all go home to their houses and like take showers, and it would come off really easily. And of course, I would go home and have to take baths with like cups and pour it on and like just kind of scrape the paint off. It was a very weird upbringing in that respect, but otherwise, my family and childhood was wonderful.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I mean, you know what it is back then you probably didn't realize you could like get like those sprayers and like now on Amazon you can buy everything. So it's like
Seriously,
back then you didn't know. You're like, oh yeah, sure.
we just kind of accepted it like that's how things were. Yeah, it's that's the tip of the iceberg of how bizarre my family was, but like love them to death. We're just very strange people.
Oh, that's cool. But how are you where you grew up nearby or did you grow like, where are you
I grew up
nearby?
in a suburb of Chicago called Joliet, Illinois.
Cool. Oh, so you're in the cold. Ooh, cold.
Yeah, yeah.
I only know Chicago from when I was in the Navy.
Gotcha. No, yeah. As far as climate, definitely a little windier, similar to New York and New Jersey, I will say. But I will say, just the lifestyle out there was a little bit different. I think of the kind of the environment that Joliet is a mix between. It's very much like Queens, I would say,
Oh,
if
okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little melting pot.
yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So let's get into kind of who you are and how you kind of grown into this. I call the integrative health space, but like a space of, a different mindset of your health. So obviously you have this business, but what kind of got you to that point?
Yeah, yeah. So I've always been a very curious person from my childhood. It was like we grew up in a Christian household, so I was very like curious about religion and theology and those sorts of things. And I that's just kind of my personality type. The natural extension of that is like you want to teach people what you learn, right? And curiosity just kind of manifests outward.
Of course.
So in my adulthood, I went through a lot of ups and downs, and I can certainly get into that transformative story as of about 25 years ago or so. But I had realized that when somebody wants to get in shape, there's a number of ways to go about that, right? I was out of shape. I was depressed. I was just like, I need to like have structure in my life. I want to change the way I look and I feel, and my clothes fit, and just everything, all the benefits that come from fitness. But it's like, what do you do? Do you hire a personal trainer? Do you, just go to the gym and wing it? Do you just download a program off of the internet? How do you do this? And then also, there are so many times when you're trying to get in shape, whether that's losing fat or building muscle or both, and you think, okay, is this am I doing this enough? Am I getting there quickly enough? There's so many points and pain points along the way that you don't know if what you're doing is leading to the desired outcome. So I really went on this quest to discover like what are the fundamentals of traditional fitness forward lifestyle or behaviors that lead you to a better physique, trimming fat, controlling your diet. How can I enjoy myself while also progressing in the direction that I want to go? and also just have confidence that these things are working.
Right, right.
And what I ended up doing was I read a couple of books. I started listening to podcasts and piecing the common threads together, experimenting with a bit, and then slowly but surely over the last several years, I sort of formulated this what I call like fitness 101 structure that is equal parts fitness, diet, and behavior change, tying
Wonderful.
into the
Awesome.
psychology and whatnot. So yeah,
Of
that's where the
course.
integrative health comes in.
Love it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't have one without the other.
agreed.
You there's not a one fix. It that's just not how it can work.
No, and I never want, what I try to teach people is like, this is much more than my clients in particular. This is much more than just getting in shape, right? It's I have a client, Tina, who she's lost 50 pounds since starting the program and
Oh,
really
that's
just
great.
transformed. Yeah, not just her physique. You can see on my Instagram page her transformation physically speaking, but also what it's done to her personality.
Oh, that's
She's actually learned to like carve out time each day for herself, outside of being a mother, a professional, a wife, a friend. This is her time. This is her holy time each day. And she's told me as such, and her husband as well, that it's really changed their lives and the way that her own satisfaction and confidence has come from doing so. So it's one thing to go to the gym every day and eat right and that sort of thing, but if that becomes your only identity and that's the only thing that you find peace in or happiness in, you're as vulnerable as that is good. So I try to teach my clients that this is more than just about looking better or putting on some muscle and losing some fat. It's really about a new identity. And then there's,
Mhm.
as you can speak to this is largely to do with your psychological makeup choices you make, the way you view the world, and so on and so forth.
No, and I think that's really important. I was saying that even for myself, I was telling you I have a little toddler, and I am very challenged with trying to fit in what I used to do on a
Mm,
regular, and feeling that because it's part of the physical part of health and the mental part of health, and when you don't get that or not able to put it into your regimen, you feel it. You're like, oh, wait. So and to
yeah,
be able to put that into your daily, this is a have to. So it's
yeah.
quite important. I try to
Well,
give myself at least, 10 minutes, but anything that we can get in there, it's important.
I couldn't agree with you more. There's this book called Tiny Habits by BJ
Oh
Fogg,
my
and
God, I had another person tell me about that bug. Awesome. You do little bit?
transformative. Yeah,
Oh, right?
100%. It's I combine that with everybody knows the habit book, James Clear's Atomic Habits,
Atomic
and
Habits. Oh my God, I feel like I have this conversation. This is great. So
it's
you use a
really,
little bit of both, right?
of course, absolutely. And
Awesome.
the tenets are the same, right? Where it's like, listen, you shouldn't just go into something gung ho and try to transform your entire life overnight, because it's possible, but it's statistically unlikely to happen. So rather than doing that, we need to find our own personal sweet spot of progress. And that's kind of a phrase that I've coined, which is essentially doing enough to see change and exact progress change on your body, your mind, etc. Right, heading in the right direction, so to speak.
Right.
As long as you're above that line, you're in a good space. But too many of us go too hard, too fast, and we eclipse what I call the burnout line. So
Mm,
if you're in between these two lines, that's the sweet spot, right? You're going to consistently progress if you're staying happily in that sweet spot. But if you hit that wire, so to speak, of burnout, that's when you're going to quit, and quitting doesn't allow us to progress. If you're not doing enough to progress, you're not going to move anywhere either. So it's that middle ground between
yeah.
the two that I try to specialize in, teach my clients how to manage within their own unique lifestyle.
That's great. Yeah, no, I think it's quite important because I think what it does is it kind of gives them, or even for yourself, just that opening of these little habits, these little moments, or these little spaces that you give yourself will make like large change.
Absolutely. And it's different for everybody. That's the beautiful thing about it, is we should never hold ourselves accountable to what somebody else is doing or feeling or wanting. And then, that really ties into the whole premise of my business. Rebuild stands for, it's four words: reflect, build a plan, um, learn the fundamentals, and then do or execute. And the first part is key, right? It's, do I actually want this? A lot of us are
Mm,
thinking, I want to get in shape. I want to get a six pack. I'm ready to go to the beach and, look this
right.
way and act this way and put up 250 pounds in the bed. It's like, that's really not ultimately what the vast majority of people are seeking in this world. And by the way, that's completely understandable and okay. I'm a fitness coach, and listen, I'm gonna go to a Mexican restaurant tonight that we've been dying to try, and I'm gonna have a couple of margaritas, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it at all because I like that stuff. I want to enjoy myself, and people need to understand that the all or nothing mentality is often the biggest driver for failure. Not It's not doing enough; it's doing too much
Oh,
at
I
once.
could not agree with you more. And then, the research is even showing more about like when you do that all or nothing and then you get rid of all these things, you're not going to lose the weight at all because your body is holding and the stress like takes over. There you
Yeah.
go. So it's like if you
Hmm.
need that margarita or whatever you're going to drink or whatever you're going to eat, can we just bring it down a notch? That's all.
Absolutely.
Maybe
I
it's not
follow
four
what.
margaritas. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just one and a half. Maybe it's two, but whatever people's numbers are, whatever there is, it's
Yeah,
conversations with having a better relationship, right? I mean, not even just with food, but with their life.
I'm totally in agreement with you. It's the hard work that we put in on a day-to-day basis that gives meaning to pleasure, and it's really the pleasures and leisures of life that give meaning to hard work. Without one, we can't have the other, or we can't really experience the other for what they're meant to be. They're supposed to be in
Right.
harmony and in balance. And I follow a gentleman by the name of Dr. Lane Norton, who he's a bit boisterous. Don't get me wrong, but he has a very, very, very I should say, good way of breaking down complex research studies, et cetera, within the fitness world and explaining them in a way that all lay people can understand. So his point from his book Fat Loss Forever is that the safest zone of like weight loss on a weekly basis we should be aiming for is, I think it's something like 0.4% of our total body weight to 1% of our total body weight. The reason I'm bringing that up is because there's something to that biologically speaking. Um, Whereas you pointed out, right, like if you're going too hard too fast, your body has these defense mechanisms to protect yourself from it. Now, ultimately, if you starve yourself, you're going to lose not just fat but muscle and bone density and that sorts of things. And this is what he's teaching, and I'm now teaching my clients by extension, is there is a way to optimize your fat loss journey in particular while maintaining or even growing muscle at some time without losing your hair or your bone density or getting compromising your immunity or anything like that, and so on and so forth. It's it's these things that I'm trying to put out into the world in an easy, digestible, and so simple that you can't fail manner. And I just feel like that was tying back to your original question, that was what was lacking in the world when I went on my own fitness journey. So I'm trying to be that voice to others.
That's great. And what kind of was your motivator to go on that fitness journey? Was it the depression? Was it just you just overall wanted to feel good? You wanted to look good
Yeah,
just for like your family and you and your wife, or was it
goodness.
just a bunch of
I
things?
so I know one of the things that's really important to talk about is really like a person's why, and I'll try to keep the story as short and sweet as possible, but it ties together into the reason why I do everything and why I actually care and work so hard on a day-to-day basis. Because I have a fitness business, but I also have a 9 to 5 sales business as well. I
Oh,
work
hard
many hours
worker.
throughout the day. Yeah. But again, within balance. The point is, right around 2017, I had been, working in a corporate setting for several years at that point. I was in a long-term relationship with someone else besides my wife prior to this, and things were just not going well in that relationship. In addition to that, I had terrible debt. I was about $100,000 in debt, student loans, cars, just making every financially poor decision you can imagine as a young adult, and living outside my means. I was going through this like exercise dieting cycle where I, whatever, and I just overall I would lose 2 pounds, but then I'd put on 5, 2, 5, and it was this vicious cycle. Long story short, I wasn't really going anywhere in the direction of life that I wanted to, and on top of that, this person that I was with, who I really saw my future with, that wasn't going in the direction I wanted to. I had this like come to Jesus moment, so to speak, where I looked in the mirror and I thought, you've got to change the way you act on a day-to-day basis, like the activities that you commit yourself to on a day-to-day basis, because the world is not coming to save you.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I ended up doing was, I just started off by, listening to some podcasts. Like this is an example of a podcast I would have listened to if I had known about it back then.
Well,
I started,
just a few years, last couple years, I just put it out, so it's new.
yeah, exactly. So this, circa 5 years ago, right? For me, this is exactly the content that I started sort of absorbing and just through like kind of like the amoeba effect, just absorbing into like my thought process. And I surrounded
Right.
myself with books and conversations with people and just honest, real conversations with people. And at that point, I realized, okay, you know what? I need to put together a daily structure, a daily schedule that even if I hit 20% of this or 40% of this each day, it's going to take me in really leaps and bounds steps towards I want to go in life. So lo and behold, each morning I woke up, I read for 30 minutes, I stretched for 10, I worked on a financial budget. And during the day, once a day for about 5 days a week, I would just go to the gym and I would follow a program that I put together and that sort of thing. Shortly thereafter, my relationship ended. I moved out, started over. Sometime after I met my now wife, which is wonderful. My
Yeah.
sales job started taking off. My efforts were really becoming fruitful. My
Congrats.
income multiplied, and best shape of my life. I have a business on the side where I'm teaching people to do the same things that I've done, and
Yeah.
I
And now
live a wonderful
you're
life.
where you want to be. Like you're best of both worlds, and eventually maybe the side hustle will be your forever hustle. But you're good, but in the way where it's your time and your money it's all we're fruitful.
Exactly, exactly. I want my money, my time to be spent on something that I know is going to give me joy, peace, and success.
Love
100%.
it. Oh, that's so beautiful. Um, well, one, what would you like to leave the audience as a thought? And then two, how can they reach you?
Yeah. So Instagram is probably my central hub. I've got a website coming out very soon, but Instagram at
Congrats.
Ted Woolsey. That is spelled TedWoolsey.
Perfect.
That'll be my central hub right there. And then thought that I want to leave the audience.
Yeah. Something you like to share.
Yeah. I will say this, getting in shape and staying in shape, which is the key, right? Um, Changing your body, your mind, these sorts of things, it's not designed to be overnight. You didn't get here in a day, you didn't get here in a week or a month. It took years to become, it took your entire life to get to the person that you are today. And it's going to take a little bit of time to change that. But if you commit yourself to a different lifestyle, a different way of thinking and acting, and you put together a really meaningful plan that aligns with that, I promise you, all you got to do is execute and your life will change. It's simpler than you think. I promise you, it's much more fulfilling than you can ever imagine.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for leaving that beautiful words of wisdom.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure being on, and hope we can do it again.
Yeah, I can. I look forward to it and for us collaborating again at some point.
Wonderful.
Thank you guys for joining in and listening. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day and make sure you find a mindful way each and every day.